Hello there, Eastenders fans. Welcome to Albert Square After Dark, your new Eastenders podcast. This week discussing the episodes of Eastenders that were broadcast on the BBC between the 3rd and the 6th of April 2023. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the start of a brand new podcasting journey for both you and me, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I hope I enjoy it. My name's Rob, and joining me on this new podcasting journey is Ree. Hello, Ree. How are you?
Hey, Rob, I'm good, thanks. Thought you'd forgot about me then.
Oh, sorry, was I going on too much?
You were going, well, you were saying it was your new journey. It's our new journey, but it's okay. It's all right.
That's quite right. Actually, no, you're quite right to pull me up on that. Well, no, I'm just the driver and you're the co-driver. Is that how it works?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
I was wondering what the difference is between a host and a co-host. Like, we're basically both doing the same job, aren't we? Except I get to press more buttons on my side. That's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, except I'm just letting you take the lead because you are the professional.
Let me tell you, I am discovering. When I used to do Walford Weekly, I used to do your job, which basically was to turn up, discuss EastEnders for a couple of hours, and then go away again and not think about it until it appeared on the internet. I didn't realise quite how much I need to be doing. I need to be doing editing, thumbnails, links, social media pages.
Sounds like you need to say a couple of thank yous to Alex. Really.
Let's not go crazy. Eh? I know he's watching as well. Hello, Alex. Alex. Then, shall we get started and discuss this week's EastEnders on the first day of our new podcast journey?
Let's do it.
Let's talk Enders. So we shall begin this week's discussion by discussing the Freddie storyline. Now, Freddie starts the week by getting a date with Jessie. He meets Jessie when he's working at the fish and chip shop because Jessie overhears him discussing his feet and the fact that he's getting lots of money from it, and then immediately walks up to him and says, "Yeah, I like feet. I'll meet you in the Vic, 9 o'clock." I'm not being funny, Ree. If I was Freddie, I'd be me and my feet would be running right down the street from a woman like that. I don't know. Is that the way to ask for someone for a date these days? Is this how the youth are doing it?
Do you know what, Rob? I'm not that young anymore either. Maybe this is the norm. I thought they'd do it all on apps. Maybe she should specifically find him on the Foot app that he's on.
It sounded like she did.
It was a bit weird, wasn't it?
It sounded like Jessie was quite okay with his feet.
She said she overheard them talking about his feet, and then she shows your feet then.
I like feet.
Yeah. Oh, feet.
Weird.
Oh, yeah, feet. That's my thing. Is it?
Weird thing to do.
Hey, look, you've discussed this. Some people do like feet. Maybe Chip Shop Jessie likes feet. Okay, let's not judge.
Who am I to judge?
Exactly.
I like having my ear nibbled. Maybe some people think that's weird. What can you say? Anyway,
I think okay.
Nothing wrong with having your ear.
Maybe a bit too. All right, yeah, but maybe a bit too much information for. All right, well, it is after dark now. You know,
yeah, exactly. This is the kind of thing that we can do. We can discuss all the things that we like sexually. That's apparently Anyway,
Rob will. I shan't. I'm a prude.
You are, aren't you? Just not into all that kind of thing, apart from the odd feet. Right. So, Freddie has, however, double booked himself because he also met a girl called, he's called Bookshop Becca. So he had arranged to meet both Bookshop Becca and Feet Jessie, which I'm going to call her, and they arranged to meet them both at the Vic. Now he doesn't realise this until a couple of hours before his actual date. Goes there with the encouragement of Stacey, Jean, and the Slaters, who all also kind of congregate en masse to kind of watch this unfurl. And predictably, it doesn't go well. He basically messes both dates up and gets them confused. And Jean makes a comment and says, "Oh, he's not all there, is he, Freddie? He's not all there." And Freddie gets really, really upset by this. And then there's a nice scene, I thought, between Freddie and Jean where they sort of discuss how Freddie feels. And we learn that Freddie had a teacher when he was at school that used to pick on him and bully him. Now, I had a bully teacher, Ree. I don't know about you. I had a bully teacher.
Yeah, I had one, yeah.
Mrs. Kirk, mine was called. She was old. I hope she's dead. I hope she's dead now. And if she is,
all right.
She was horrible. She was absolutely horrible.
Right, but
if she is dead, I hope the old witch went slowly. So,
this is why it's after dark.
Evil.
My goodness. Okay,
Evil woman.
To be fair, mine were called Mr. Tag, and I wouldn't be that fussy if he were a rabbit, to be fair. Mr. Tag.
Mr. Tag.
T-A-G-G.
Tag him around the head, I bet. Yes. So if you're listening, Mr. Tag and Mrs. Kirk, go to hell. That's what we say.
Mhm.
Right. So Jean now comes. See, this is where this story started to get a little bit confusing for me, because Jean then comes up with this marvelous idea that Freddie should confront Mr. Hawthorne with what he's been, with how he made Freddie feel. So the next day, him, Freddie, Jean, Harvey, and Bobby, who've come along for the ride, just 'cause I think Bobby wanted a day out. But they go down to Freddie's school, and Freddie confronts Mr. Hawthorne and basically says, "Look, you made me feel absolutely rubbish in class. You're a teacher. This is not how you should make kids feel." And then kind of gets applause from everybody who's sort of waiting in the car with popcorn and just watching everything that's going on. And then leaves. Now, this felt a bit odd. Did it feel odd to you that Jean's come up with this idea of just confronting this teacher?
This entire part of that episode just felt bizarre. It didn't fit. Something didn't click with this part of the episode, I don't think, or this storyline in general. It all just felt a bit cheesy. Okay. I'm gonna go. It's like they were trying to do a bit of humour, but with a bit of like good lightheartedness involved, but also, oh yeah, Freddie's sticking it to his teacher. It was all just a little bit.
I mean,
cheesy.
I mean, as we both said, we both had teachers that gave us aggro when we were at school. So I think both of us would like to have done this, but I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would kind of go there and just kind of give this teacher hassle. Who looks, by the way, Mr. Hawthorne looks as though he doesn't like his job very much either, to be fair.
How long ago did Freddie leave, by the way? How long ago was it that he left school?
So it wasn't that long ago.
Couple years. Few years.
Couple of years.
Yeah, I would not have gone back to school.
No.
Few years after
now. I wouldn't go now.
No.
But basically, Mr. Hawthorne then kind of pays a visit to the square. He meets up with Freddie again. And it turns out that Mr. Hawthorne does suspect that Freddie has ADHD. Now, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of suits him. It's an interesting kind of story, a pathway for Freddie to go. I think it kind of adds a new layer to Freddie. And Mr. Hawthorne says, right, okay, so just because of the way that I treated you, I feel bad about that. So I will 100% fully support you in trying to find out, get you a diagnosis and all that kind of thing. So ADHD, exploring that. What do you think? I think that's fairly interesting. I like the idea of that.
I'm very interested to see how they go with this ADHD. I hope they're not going to do it all too stereotypical. I know a little bit about ADHD, but obviously I'm not an expert. But I hope that they go into some of the more uncommon traits with it as well, because obviously there is this naughty boy syndrome, as they've mentioned, but there is also a different side to ADHD. So I hope that they can explore that a little bit as well. Like, I think there is the naughty boy side, but then some people mask it a lot better, particularly women. I would have liked to have seen this with a female personally, this storyline, but I think it's giving Freddie somewhere to go now. It's giving him a bit more depth, like you've said. So hopefully we can start seeing a bit more of him. And I don't know about this teacher there who was picking on him only a few years ago. Now he's sitting in calf with him and going, "Oh, drop my salt, you get a diagnosis." Couldn't be asked to do that, 2-3 years ago. But I'll let you out now if you want.
Well, it's interesting.
Bit odd, but hey ho.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that they've sort of kind of addressed the fact that. The thing is, though, it made it sound like Freddie had been at school like 20 years ago when this kind of attitude was more acceptable. You often get kids in the class that they misbehave. They would just call it naughty boy syndrome or whatever, and not really concentrate on what was actually wrong with the kid or how to help the kid. Which sounds all right, like I say, for about 10, 20 years ago when we were at school or something. But Freddie's about 12, 15 years younger than us. And you would have thought, and it's not like ADHD is a new thing particularly. No. It definitely would have been a thing when Freddie was at school. So it kind of just suggests that Mr. Hawthorne was a really rubbish teacher and still is a really
rubbish teacher. What about all his other teachers, to be fair? Not just Mr. Hawthorne. He's just the one who used to... I mean, no one helped him get this diagnosis when he clearly needed it. But then again, teachers do have a lot on these days. They're all under pressure, maybe. But like I said, that's why it don't make sense that he's like, "Oh, you're not my pupil anymore. Do you want me to help you get a diagnosis in my spare time?" That I don't have a lot of. But
yeah, I mean, I do think it's an interesting pathway for Freddie though, because it kind of because he is kind of quite a zingy character and sort of kind of jumping around all over the place, and you can imagine the way that it's all been portrayed that Freddie would have had quite a lot of trouble at school. So I am intrigued now for them to sort of really explore ADHD and sort of see how you deal with that in later life and how you deal with that
Yeah.
as a fresh diagnosis. It is interesting, and I like that you are right. It would have been kind of interesting with a woman, with a female perspective having that. I had a look online, and apparently I didn't know this. ADHD is 3 times more common in men than it is in women. Which, you know, ratio wise, it can make sense that you'd give it to a bloke. But I thought that was interesting.
See, I think that's because women tend to mask ADHD more, so there's probably more women that go undiagnosed. So that statistic, like I say, I'm no expert, but that statistic might not be completely accurate if you don't take on board all the women who are not diagnosed as well.
Yeah.
But hey, either way, they're bringing awareness, so it can only be a good thing, can't it?
Nothing wrong with that. Someone at uni, right, once told me that, I think it was a lecturer or kind of like a teaching assistant or something at uni. She turned around to me and asked me whether I'd ever kind of tested for ADHD. I was kind of like, I haven't got, no, don't be ridiculous, of course I haven't. And then I went back home, really kind of like stoic about the fact I haven't got ADHD, don't be ridiculous. Started taking an online test and got distracted halfway through and never completed it.
Well, there you go.
Every possibility that I might have, but that would be trivialising it.
I certainly think I have traits of it. I'm discovering.
Well, the interesting thing is there that a lot of people say this. It's similar to kind of OCD, when people turn around and say, "Oh, I've got OCD. I was like clean everywhere," and it completely and utterly trivialises people who actually have it, doesn't it? So I wonder if that's going to kind of be addressed. But it's interesting. It's a nice.
It does seem to be a lot more people are realizing that they have traits these days, but maybe there's a reason for that. Who knows? But yeah, it's good that they're going to explore it either way, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, I want to say that I liked the scenes between Jean and Freddie as well. I thought that was quite nice because I think Jean sort of sees a kindred spirit in Freddie, somebody who you can imagine Jean would have had difficulty at school. And so that's my smoke alarm going off downstairs.
I wondered what that were.
Yeah, Mum's cooking again. Great nurse. That's all I can say. Jean is somebody who you can totally imagine would instantly connect with somebody like Freddie, who has sort of tried to keep all that hidden about himself. And Jean's always been kind of quite spiritual when it comes to everything that goes on in the brain and the mind and everything. So her saying things like "you're your own beautiful firework" is so on point for Jean. It's not even true.
On brand.
That's the phrase I was looking for. Thank you, Ray. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Marvelous. That was that. Let us know what you think in the comment section below about this storyline, and see what you think. Yes.
I would like to add a little something. I have a little theory. When Mr. Hawthorne was at the Slater's house, did anybody else pick up on when Stacey walked in and he met her, and then Jean walked in and said, "Oh, you've met my daughter"? You were a bit like, "Oh yes," and the pleasure was mine. And I thought, is this where the spoiler alert? Is this where the OnlyFans thing's going to start kicking in?
Well,
I did wonder, is it somehow going to be related that he's going to be asking for picture? I don't know. I just got a little hint of something there, and maybe that's why he's been introduced as well.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't supposed to be any shame on the actor who played Mr. Hawthorne whatsoever, but I did get the impression that they kind of made him quite dishevelled and sort of. Mr. Hawthorne looked to me like somebody who was down on his luck.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of single, or he's got a huge
that's
amount happening at home. So that would link actually. Yeah, that would be interesting. Time will tell. We shall see. Right then, ladies and gents, let's move on to the next story. Okay, 2 tiny storylines now. First of all, we'll discuss Ben and Callum, and Ben doing his boxing. He's the guy called Troy, who he met at the boxing event. He's remained in contact with and has said that he wants to kind of continue boxing. Now, there does seem to be something going on with Ben at the moment, as there so often is. But there's something else going on with him at the minute. He seems really kind of. It feels like he's very much kind of putting a lot of emotional investment into this boxing. And I don't know whether that is to do with Lola or to do with something else that's going on, because he's sort of messing around with his eating a little bit. I think some people have noticed. He started having that fry up and then immediately gave it to Callum when Troy said, "You don't want to be doing too much of that." So, I mean, have you got any theories as to what might be going on with Ben at the moment and what might be going on inside his little head?
To be honest, the only theory I've got is what you've really mentioned about Lola, and it's going to be his emotional outlet somehow. He's going to be this boxing and he's going to take it too far and he's going to get really injured. But I did see somebody online actually say that maybe they could just show this in a positive light. But it does seem like they're trying to show this as a negative path for him to be going down rather than a positive. Because, boxing could be a positive thing for somebody to get fit and it could be a positive outlet. But they do seem to be dressing this up like it's leading to something negative that he's doing this. And
I know what you mean.
He's doing it for the wrong reasons, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of like, there's clearly, Ben's boxing, there clearly must be something wrong with him. And to be fair, you're right. I mean, to say that, it's a good outlet. Nobody in EastEnders normally needs more emotional outlets than Ben, because Ben has got so many pent-up issues over his life. The boxing, in a lot of ways, would be a perfect outlet for him. But the thing is, there was an interesting little moment with Ben this week when him and Troy were in the ring and Phil was in the background, and you could just see Phil sort of proudly smiling at him.
Yeah,
it's almost as if that was confirmation to Ben that he was doing the right thing. Which is, that's Phil all over, isn't it? Like, that is his dream, to see Ben in a boxing ring knocking 2 bells out of somebody. That's Phil's idea of heaven. And
which again it could just be showing that Ben's doing it for the wrong reasons then. That little scene of Phil looking on proudly, maybe that's the other reason. I mean,
I kind of thought that he moved on a little bit from constantly trying to please Phil, but obviously that is always going to be there because I even if it's unspoken, I think there's so many issues with Ben and Phil's relationship that there's always going to be something that they can bring up during an argument, and this might be one of these that Phil's pride in seeing his son in a boxing ring has kind of pushed him there. But the thing is, Ben looked quite happy to be there. But he's clearly hiding something because he does this. He doesn't talk to Callum, and then Callum kind of looks all confused as to why Ben's kind of gone off and clearly has something wrong with him. Because of all things, Ben isn't great at hiding when there's something wrong with him. He just won't say what it is. So we'll see what's going on there. I have a feeling it's going to kind of become bigger over the next couple of weeks. But this guy Troy, he seems to be putting quite a bit of pressure on Ben as well, like sort of telling him what he should be eating and saying, well, if you're serious about this, and just trying to be this kind of mean little Hitler coach, which I don't know. I don't know if it's great for Ben, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, obviously, if you are getting into boxing seriously, I would have thought that you do need to, there are certain diets that you have to follow. But a bit harsh. Like, he's only just wanting to start. Like, let him have his bloody chips, beans, and sausage if he wants them.
If Kathy puts
he's only just started.
In front of you, then you eat it. Kathy's the best cook of a full English in the entire square. So you wouldn't be refusing that. Nope. So we'll see where that goes. The other small story that we're going to quickly discuss was Sonia and Reiss. Now, we discovered last week or the week before that Reiss has got a wife. Now, there's a little bit of questioning as to how exactly this is all going to play out. I feel that, and there seems to be quite a lot of the rumors about this online, that there is something kind of wrong. Maybe this wife might be ill. And because he made a phone call, didn't he? And it made it sound like he wanted to speak to her, so that she wasn't immediately available. So is she in a home or in a hospital or something like that? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Alex mentioned it on Walford Weekly actually, and he said that he thought he had an ill wife. It sounds like maybe she's in a hospice. I don't know, but I mean, she must be local then. If Reiss is now living in Walford and still going to see her weekly.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of explains why he'd be not massively keen on the idea of leaving the country for any kind of long periods of time, because obviously Sonia has got it into her head now. She's really excited about the idea of them going to Thailand to see Bex. And Reiss is kind of throwing any delay that he can at this. I need to get my passport done. Oh, well, you know what passport offices are like. This could take months and months. And Sonia's like, well, actually, because Sonia's Sonia, I've got a way of getting this sorted. We'll go straight to the passport office and I'll kick off. Because Sonia, if you can imagine, if Sonia turned up at your front desk and you were in charge of doing something, Sonia strolls in with that look on her face that she's about to kick off and give you hell. You'd be like, yeah, there you go. There's your new passport. I'll break all the laws. I don't care. There you go. That's for you.
Yeah.
So, we'll see where that goes. I think it is going to be, whatever it is, it's going to be something that I think puts Reiss in quite a positive light, because he isn't the sort of person to kind of have a wife and then have a bit on the side at the same time, is he?
I saw this coming, by the way, a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going to lie. I had a feeling that he had a wife. With I think when all the Rocky stuff started, then I was like, he's definitely got a wife. I could just tell.
Oh yes.
So yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I like Reiss. I do like Reiss. He's got something quite different about him, and he's an interesting character, and I think he's played really well. I think it's going to be fun to sort of, and it's so nice for Sonia to have something to do as well, because Sonia has been sort of not had a lot to do really, like kind of been a part of other people's stories, but never really had her own relationship really to kind of focus on. So I really like this as a sort of new direction for Sonia. So that's quite interesting, and Reiss is a great character. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this goes. But we'll have to wait.
Did you like how?
Go on.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say, did you like how Bailey and Bernadette were conveniently placed, having their petition signing?
the first, the first time that we've seen Bailey since August, can I just say, this week. I don't know where she's been. August. She's not been seen since then. Apparently, she was in the Chris. You know when they were all around the Christmas tree and Rag and Bone Man showed up and he was singing. Apparently, she was in that episode because she was in the credits. I don't remember seeing her, but. Other than that, she hasn't been in it since August, which is mad for a character to not be in it that long. Now, she's a kid, so presumably, school and tutoring and all that kind of thing. Kids have breaks. Tommy's had quite a long break recently. I've not seen Tommy for a while. But it's sort of, it does kind of make you wonder. But the thing is, Bailey is now the Greta Thunberg of Walford. Started doing all of these kind of plain petitions and trying to actively make Sonia feel guilty about going on a long haul flight. Do you not care about global warming? Do you know what this is going to do to the planet? And I can't believe Sonia actually turned around and was just like, she might have a point. Is there another way that we could get to Thailand? It's going to be ridiculous. You can do walk, swim. How are you going to get to Thailand other than a plane?
No. She said, let's compromise and meet her in Europe and we'll get the Eurostar, didn't she?
So it's all right for Bex to have a really long. Yeah, so it's all right for Bex to have a long flight to Europe, but as long as Sonia doesn't feel guilty about her getting on the plane, then everything's absolutely fine. But Reiss was kind of trying to take advantage of that because apparently he now knows Sonia so well that he knows that all he needs to do is to put her in front of some precocious child who's moaning about global warming, and Sonia will feel guilty. So
apparently, well, he knows her well.
Apparently that works. There you go. That's how Bailey. So there we are. So those were small stories, and we will now move on to the Denise and Ravi story. Okay, so the first of one of two big stories this week, and we'll start off with Ravi, Denise, Chelsea, and Nugget, and their big story. Now, Ravi starts the week off, but he's still kind of quite cocky about what's going on. He's been taunting Denise and kind of taunting the fact that he's with Chelsea, and Denise is hating it because she knows that she can't really do anything about it. And then, bear in mind that at the start of the week, Ravi is taking a call from this mysterious guy that we don't really still know all that much about. This guy that he's been doing jobs for, apparently. And one of the jobs that he agrees to do, we learn later on in the week, is stolen laptops. Bear that in mind, put a pin in that. So Chelsea has arranged a date with Ravi. Okay, and Ravi wants to take Chelsea out, and Chelsea's kind of like, well, I haven't got a babysitter for Jordan. So somehow they both end up deciding that the best person to leave this child with is Nugget, 14-year-old Nugget, who would much rather go to a party on the opposite side of the square. I mean, I can understand. Yeah, well, for
Nugget, yeah.
I mean, I can understand Ravi's side of this. Ravi just wants to get his leg over. He's not that bothered about Chelsea's child.
Yeah.
But Chelsea leaving Nugget with Ravi, with Nugget. Leaving Jordan with Nugget, I should say.
Yes, leaving Jordan with Nugget.
You weren't too convinced about this, were you?
I was sat there appalled. I'm not going to lie.
As a young mother.
Thank you. I'm a young mother. I'm not that young, but I have a young infant.
Babies do tend to be young. I think it's by the definition.
Well, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she's 1 this Sunday. I'll have you know, Rob. Okay, on Easter Sunday tomorrow.
Well over a year since you messaged. It's well over a year since you messaged me and said that I'm pregnant, Rob, and I had a nervous breakdown because I was like, well,
it was well over a year, Rob. That was like nearly 2 years ago.
I was like, oh, that's out then. That's all the nights out with.
It's been a year since I had her.
Never getting drunk with Ree ever again. But go on, you were saying.
So anyway, as somebody who has a young baby, yes. I would not dream. Right, I know Jordan's a few months older than my daughter. I would not dream of leaving a 14-year-old in charge of a baby, let alone a 14-year-old who doesn't know how to change a nappy and needs to look it up on YouTube, apparently, and also who's then got to put the poor little baby to bed. So you're going to leave a 14-year-old to do your baby's bedtime. Now, for me, bedtime's a very important time for my daughter. I would not dream of letting her have her bedtime done by somebody that she's never even met before. So, okay. None of this made sense to me. Not one part of this made sense to me.
Babies' bedtimes are important for the baby, but as well for the parents as well, because they know that the kids are sleeping, then they can just drink copious amounts of wine. That's how it normally works, isn't it, Ray? There you go. Yeah. But the Nugget isn't really that bothered about the fact that he's doing a little thing like babysitting, because he wants to go to this party. Now, I did think what was going to happen here was that Nugget was just going to say, right, party's over here, guys. Much nicer house. Let's just all go crazy in this house. That isn't what Nugget did.
Oh yeah, that would have made so much more sense, actually, wouldn't it?
I've got to be honest. I prefer what we got instead, because Nugget, using his initiative marvelously, I thought, stuck a papoose on himself with Jordan inside and went across to the party. I mean,
fair play to him for knowing how to use that. By the way, they're not that simple.
They're not easy. They're not easy at all, are they? I mean, I love that sight of Nugget just sort of wandering into this party with Jordan still asleep, strapped to him. Jordan was fast asleep, so Jordan had a great night.
That upset me. That I'm not even joking. Seeing that baby were asleep, I can't believe that he took the baby out when it's. No, not being bitter or anything.
No, my baby just asleep. I can't cope with seeing other babies asleep. How does he do it?
No, it upset me that he took this baby out when it's not nap time, it's bedtime. Rob, I'm being serious. It really upset me.
Nugget's 14 and didn't.
Well, I don't blame Nugget. I blame the parents.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting thing there, isn't it? Because talking of Ravi and Chelsea, they go off on this day unaware that Nugget has kidnapped Jordan and taken into a house party that they shouldn't have been having in the first place. We'll come on to that in a minute. Because Ravi and Chelsea are kind of trying to talk about their relationship. And I think Chelsea is trying to get more information out of Ravi than she knows already. Because Ravi, I think, has been quite secretive and, isn't really revealing too much about himself. And he isn't really that keen on coming forwards when they're on their date. But then Chelsea gets a phone call from Jack because the party has been discovered, and we'll discuss the party and the aftermath in the next story. But I think it's fair to say that Chelsea is really starting to fall for Ravi at the moment. Like, she is really sort of falling under his spell. Now, what's interesting here is the fact that, yes, we kind of figured that Chelsea is kind of mad into Ravi because, frankly, those arms, I don't blame her. But what's interesting is the fact that I started to suspect this week that Ravi is now starting to have feelings for Chelsea because because obviously at first he was just using Chelsea to get to Denise and to try and blackmail some information about the case that Jack was working on out of her. But the events of this week with Nugget led Ravi to have a bit of a breakdown because once the party is discovered and Chelsea and Ravi return home to find Denise sort of guarding Nugget. I quite like the little wink that Nugget gave Denise and the look of horror in Denise.
Oh, yeah.
That was funny. I quite like that.
That was good. That was really in character for him, actually.
Yeah. And then the next day, Ravi and Nugget are having this blazing row to the point where Ravi goes to hit Nugget. And not just hit. We've seen characters sort of go to hit somebody in the past. It's normally like, a slap is about to happen. But no, Ravi had Nugget pinned up against the wall and was about to punch his head through the wall. So quite violent, quite angry. Absolutely terrified Nugget, who ran across to Suki and Nish's. And now, I want to say, star of the week for me was Nugget. I thought, I really, really liked Nugget. And I thought it was some really interesting backstory reveal for Nugget this week. And why I've kind of been, sometimes when you get a feeling about a character, and I've had this with Nugget for a while where I just kind of think, yeah, there's a lot of potential in you. I like your character. He's got a lot kind of going on with him. He is an immature little kid, and and he is a little git to say the least. But I find him to be a realistic kid of someone his age.
Very, I agree.
I like him.
Yeah, he reminds me of one of my little annoying cousins from when I was younger. I think his character's very fitting.
Yeah,
and I also think that he's really good. I've always been a fan of Nugget. I must be honest. His name were a bit daft at first, but now you don't even think about it. It's like Nugget.
It's Nugget. Nugget. When they say his real name, for a minute I might on that.
Yeah, Devinder. Devinder who?
Who's Devinder? And then they realise who they're talking about. But yeah, no, we're big Nugget fans of this podcast. If you don't like that, sign off because this is a Nugget stan account, quite frankly. Although I didn't quite understand it when Nugget turned around to Chelsea and said paprika. Did you have any understanding what that meant?
Yeah, because she was talking about Spice Girls, and he was showing that he didn't know anything about Spice Girls. I think that's
was
what
that
we were
what it
trying
was?
to say.
I thought he was using
yeah.
I thought he was using a young trendy word at her.
You're not
paprika.
Rob, you're not that old. I know you're older than me, but you're not that old.
I know. This is the thing with kids, and having this many kids on Square at the minute. Now and again, they will come out with a conversation. Well, they'll be having a conversation, and the scene will finish, and I will think, I have no idea what on earth any of them just said.
Did you understand what he meant when he said bare pee at one point in there?
Money costs a lot of money.
I got that. A lot of
pennies.
money.
Yes,
bare
I got that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 70.
You're not too bad then.
I did understand that. Yeah, I'm down with the kids. I've got that.
Well, Rob, I think I might know more than you. So if there's ever any phrases you don't know, let me know and I'll see if I can answer them for you. I'll try and translate. I'll be the cool young one.
You being 16 and all.
Yeah.
So Ravi kind of scares himself, I think, this week as well when he realizes that he's terrified Nugget and is about to kind of get really violent because he's sort of getting memories of what Ranveer was like with him. No more helps when Nish kind of strolls across and if you lay one finger on my grandson, of Nish of all people, you lay one finger on my grandson and you'll have me to deal with and you'll know what it's like to have me as a father. So there's threatening men everywhere in the Panesar family. It's no wonder this
was that not an ironic threat?
Oh yeah, completely.
By the way.
Completely.
Like, how did Nish not see how ironic that was?
Oh, well,
I'm going to threaten my son for threatening his son because you don't threaten your son, so I'm going to threaten my son.
Yeah, I like the fact that Nish is kind of level. Where it becomes unacceptable is like we don't threaten kids in the Panesar family, as though everything.
When you're an adult.
Oh yeah,
when anything you're an adult, goes.
And I will put I'll have my wife in a coercively controlling relationship. That's absolutely fine. But scaring Nugget, you're bang out of order, mate. And if you do it again, you're gonna suffer from my account. So yeah, I mean that's just Nish all over though, isn't it? Sort of the
obviously his line is if they're under 16, then no, you don't.
Yeah, once you hit the age of 18, all's fair. So I thought it was quite interesting though that Ravi is now, I think, starting to really get feelings for Chelsea because Chelsea was there for him all week, defending him, sticking by him, helping out with Nugget, and really sort of being an outlet for Ravi's kind of frustrations and anger at himself. I think we saw the most real side we've seen of Ravi so far this week because he was sort of revealing what his childhood had been like and how the thing that scares him most of all, I think, is putting Nugget where he has been. And that's exactly what he was doing this week by scaring him and threatening to punch him and all that kind of thing. So,
I thought Chelsea showed quite a lot of similarities to Denise. You know, how she cared for him and how she was that shoulder for him. And, you know, she said, you're going to hold your head up high. I thought these are all things that Denise would be saying if she was with Ravi in this situation. Probably, so I can kind of see that maybe he likes that quality in Chelsea as well, because obviously he's still keen on Denise. So yeah, I wondered if that's maybe where it's going to head, that he likes all those kind of qualities to Chelsea, but it definitely seems like he's starting to like her. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, this basically all kind of leads to, once all the stuff with the car crash, which we should be discussing very shortly, trust me, Kim has basically come across these text messages that Ravi was sending to Denise, like threatening her, saying, well, you're the cheeks. Denise had a massive go at Ravi in front of Chelsea, and it really annoyed Ravi. So he'd sent her a load of abuse over text message, which Kim has now seen. So Kim now knows what's been going on with Ravi. And Kim is basically saying, right, well, I will keep this quiet, the fact that you basically cheated on your husband. That's fine, Denise. I'll keep that quiet, but this needs to end now. All of this needs to go away. So Denise, because Ravi has given Nugget a laptop, which he was whining about for all week, he gave Nugget one of these laptops that he's stolen, and Denise rings the police, and the police call. Callum arrives with I'm DC Highway. Hello. So I'll talk about Callum and his
no comment
badge. Callum was just loving life this week, wasn't he? Twice we were told this week. I'm DC Highway. Can I help? Yeah. Hello. DC Highway's arrived. Any opportunity? Can I get the drinks? Yeah, I'm DC Highway. I'll get these drinks. Thank you very much. So yeah, Ravi is arrested and kind of taken away, released on bail. And so Denise is basically desperately trying to get rid of him, but the problem that she's got is the fact that Chelsea is sticking by him 100%. So we're very much nowhere near the conclusion of the story yet. But I think the addition of Kim knowing about it is maybe an interesting element. So I don't know. We'll see. Denise has shot herself in the foot long before any of this started, though, hasn't she? And this is basically now all her own fault, because if she just sort of, I'm not saying been honest from the start, but I think she could have been a bit more honest with Chelsea. Not necessarily with Jack, but if she'd been more honest with Chelsea, because Chelsea has a history of very bad taste in men. You know, even if you look back to Grey, but even before then, you know, she's got an appalling taste in men. So this is no surprise to anybody, apart from Chelsea, that Ravi is another bad one. So
she should have just told Chelsea from the off that woman in the salon was actually her, and then Chelsea would have been like, "Fair, I'm not going anywhere near him."
Yeah, or at the very least, say, "No, listen, Jack's investigating Ravi."
Yeah.
So you need to
that was your big one, weren't it?
Because she told Ravi, so why couldn't she tell Chelsea?
I know.
You know, it's sort of it's a bit mad, really. Final story of the week now, and I mean, it goes to show I have been sort of slightly rolling my eyes at Kim the Influencer for as long as it's been going on, because this is the longest running Kim B plot I think we've ever had. It's been going on for quite a while now, Kim just being the influencer. But apparently it was all leading somewhere, because Kim has won Influencer of the Moment. Now, being influencer of the absolutely, I mean, we're nearly there, I should think. You know, I don't think it's long until we get a trophy and a great big yellow car. I mean, the influencer of the moment, you get the things you get for it. I mean, never mind the trophy that she's sticking on a mantelpiece. She's got a massive, lovely new yellow car to drive around. I want to be influencer of the moment. I think I could do with a big old yellow car for my drive.
You don't get any booze there. Definitely no booze is involved.
You just get organic green tea, which I don't think is. I mean, there's something about the influencer life.
Well, maybe
green tea non-stop.
Yeah,
not for me. But yeah, so Kim is going to this award ceremony, and she's dragging Howie there. She asked Denzel. Denzel obviously was sorting out his party. Now, did you ever throw a secret party when your parents weren't there as a kid? I never did this.
No, never,
Mum. Never.
All the time.
Did you?
But I wasn't. But I weren't stupid. They were being way too bait about it. Like, I used to have it in the attic or something, at least, and I'd like make sure I knew what time they were coming back exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put disco lights on so that the entire of the nosy lot of Albert Square would know that I was having a party.
Yeah,
music,
kids. Disco lights,
mate, all the
kids
time.
throwing up everywhere.
All the time.
Wow.
And at my friends' houses as well. But yeah.
That's all right to go to your mate's house if they're doing it. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it at my own, because I
did it a fair few times.
Look at broke. Anyway, so Kim has won the award, by the way. So she wins this great. Was it a Beetle? It was a nice yellow Beetle. It was a nice car, to be fair. And she's won this. She won this car. And she was wanting Denise to take a selfie of her. Now her phone's run out of battery, so she swaps phones with Denise to take this selfie, which is how Kim ends up with Denise's phone. So when Howie storms into the house, discovers that this party is taking place, and throws everybody out, including Denzel, because he's fuming that Denzel has kind of let him down like this. The only person that got a good thing out of this party was Ricky, who had actually managed to change a nappy. He was very pleased with himself about that.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I've just changed the nappy.
I think the nation applauded. I think we were all kind of quite keen on Ricky learning dad stuff. I was quite pleased with him for that. But yeah, Denzel's been chucked out. Kim feels a bit bad for him, because as she says to Denzel, well, I woke up in a skip once. So, you've got nothing on me. I forgive you. That's absolutely fine.
She also said to Howie, well, if you had any mates when you were 14, which were a bit harsh, but all right.
I've woken up in a skip, to be fair. I have woken up in a skip before.
Well, it doesn't surprise me, Rob. We went to uni together. I'm not surprised by any
probably after a night out with you.
Yours. Might have been, may well have been.
I mean, and let me tell you, you don't wake up proud of yourself. So she decides to kind of cheer Denzel up and takes him for a ride in this new car. Now, So Ravi, after they've had this argument with Denise that we discussed, is sending Denise all this abuse, sending Denise's phone, who he thinks is Denise, all this abuse. Kim has Denise's phone in her hand while she is driving, kind of distracted by the fact that Ravi is sending messages like "you're the cheat" and basically revealing everything that's gone on in the storyline up to that point to Kim. And then this poor bloke gets off a bus. Never seen this bloke before. He gets off a bus, and it just goes to show you can take 1 foot in Albert Square and you nearly get hit by a car. It's a disaster zone, that square.
Especially in that particular area as well.
Yeah, I think that's quite close to where Danielle got run over as well.
Yeah.
People. Yeah, it's not a great area.
They need a zebra crossing. That's what they need.
They need something. They need traffic lights or some sort of, maybe a lollipop man. That might be nice. Just something to help the residents of Albert Square stop getting run over, because it seems to happen a lot down that area. So she's distracted when she's reading these messages and sort of and then Denzel's like, Kim, and they have to veer around this pedestrian and drive straight into the argy-bargy. Now, first of all, Ree, little quiz question for you here. Which location has all of these things in common? Okay, roof collapse, failed terrorist attack, actual gas explosion, body found under floorboards, and car driven through it. Can you do you any idea of one building that all those things have in common?
It's not the Queen Vic, is it?
It's not the Queen Vic. You would think it would.
Is it the argy-bargy?
It is the
argy-bargy.
I don't know what the argy-bargy has done to the writers of EastEnders, but they are determined to wreck it. It's had more of a tragic life than Ronnie Mitchell. It makes her life look like a Disney movie. Honestly, it's gone through so much abuse and like explosions and everything. The poor thing, and all the way back to when they were opening it to be the argy-bargy and the roof collapsed, and it's just had no end of abuse to it. Bless it.
It's obviously their set that they use for any incident to happen. That they can just trash.
Well, they do trash it. Now, the thing is, we're going to talk about the car crash itself, all right? The stunt itself looked all right. It wasn't, the biggest, most spectacular car crash we've ever seen in EastEnders, but it kind of did its job, didn't it? Kim just sort of veered into the argy-bargy. However, what I would question is whether the intensity of the stunt warranted the mass hysteria that we got the next episode, especially from Bernie. I am kind of convinced that Claire Norris had a cup of coffee before she filmed that scene, because she was on one. People screaming and like sort of. To
be fair to the actress, the directors could have made her refilm that if they weren't happy with it. So she was obviously told to go off like that, in fairness.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I just think that, I don't think it was. The two didn't really suit, because they did that classic duff where, a car has had some sort of incident, so both the driver and passenger are like that for the duff. Kim's absolutely fine in the next episode. She got a bit of a cut on her head. Denzel gets rushed to hospital with like a ruptured spleen or something, and has to be in hospital overnight and is unconscious. And everybody was just going absolutely mad, like trying to rip the doors open, screaming. Like when they stood in one particular bit of the set, a bit of talcum powder was chucked over them. Like just to signify how unsteady the argy-bargy was after all these years of abuse. Thank Christ, Callum arrived with his ID card. DC Highway, how can I help you? I had DC Highway. I'll deal with this. I'm DC Highway. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's.
Not only did he arrive with that, he arrived with some incredible door opening skills as well.
Yes.
Can we just say? Yes. How long were Mitch trying to get that door open for? Callum walks over, DC Highway, opens the door. Yeah. If only they'd have known it was that simple.
It's the power of the car. It's the power of his ID card. It gives him power.
Well, maybe that's what Bernadette should have tried to do instead of running around like headless.
Give me that card. No, I inhale the power and then just kind of pull the door open. Yeah, I mean, Callum's one of those people that if you one of those people that would surprise you with an arm wrestle. I think you kind of stroll to kind of go, yeah, I'll arm wrestle you. Look at this, lads, and then you get your arm broken.
Probably, yeah.
So Denzel is rushed to hospital, and Howie obviously is all kind of worried and guilty because he chucked Denzel out, and that could be the last time that they ever spoke. Was a massive argument, etc., etc. And Kim is sort of letting Howie believe most of the week that it was this pedestrian's fault that the car crashed, because Howie's all up for hunting down this guy. And like sort of putting him in hospital as well because of what's happened to Denzel, which I thought was slightly unreasonable because all this poor bloke did was get off a bus. And then Howie Denzel comes round, and Howie's kind of sat there ranting and raving. I'll get the bloke. And Denzel just comes out with the fact, oh no, Kim was on her phone. I thought that was a bit like that felt odd to me that Denzel would immediately just drop Kim in it like that, especially when Kim had like been trying to be kind to him while Harry was ranting and raging about the house party.
It makes you wonder, are they trying to imply that he'd heard stuff whilst he was still unconscious? Because hadn't Howie at some point been talking, oh, I'm going to go and get that guy, like you were just saying, and, you know, do all that. So then as soon as Denzel wakes up, it's, oh, it was Kim's fault. The thing I find most bizarre is that he remembered straight away. They could have at least left it a day before he remembered all the details.
I think it was just for the sake of the duff, wasn't it? And the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It should have been like, because he had just been unconscious for all, a few hours. So you would have thought he would have kind of woken up a bit groggy and wouldn't even have known his own name. Never mind the fact that Kim was looking at.
But he woke up and like, it was Kim. It was Kim. Reading text messages.
So Howie obviously is not too impressed by this and breaks up with Kim. That seems to be their relationship over for now. And Kim is feeling all levels of guilty and has a nice little moment where Patrick rings her, Pops rings her, and they have like a little kind of video chat. Now, interesting thing with Patrick here. The last we heard from Patrick, he'd gone off to try and win back Yolandi. Now, there's no mention of Yolandi in this conversation, but so where was Patrick? Is my question. Because
he could well have been at Yolandi's, but he just didn't mention it. But it was just quite weird that he's been written out and then was in for a video call. So I don't know if, I didn't really understand that either. It seemed a bit odd, didn't it? Is he going to be in for a few video calls, or?
I don't know. I mean, I'm all up for him getting back with Yolandi because I love Yolandi. Yolandi was great.
Yes, I love Yolandi as well.
Her rivalry with Pat was, I absolutely loved that thing. Pat and Patrick had that little fling. And Kim then kind of, taking advice from Patrick and realising that she has no other option here, apparently. She brings the police up and says, right, I need to tell you what really happened. And that's kind of where we leave Kim for the week. So it would suggest that Howie and Kim are done and that Kim's about to kind of, I don't know how long you'd get, because but kind of get herself in trouble with the police now for not concentrating and reading her phone while she was driving. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the repercussions are of that if she's admitting to it as well, which pretty dumb move. I mean, all right, yeah, fine, do the right thing and that, but if you're admitting to it, then that is definitely not going to bode well for her, is it?
I know. But I did enjoy all of this kind of thing. It was just the mad reaction to the car crash, as though a train had come off the viaduct, as opposed to Kim driving into the archie-barchie at 10 miles per hour.
Well, yeah, I think it was all. I do think Bernie played a large part in that, but again, like I say, hey, that got directed like that, and they decided to keep it in, so it's not her fault.
Yeah, the thing is, I sometimes wonder, Bernie has so little to do these days. I think she must have read those scripts and go, right, I'm stealing this scene. You can all sod off. This is my scene. I'm having this, and she went in on it.
Maybe.
Which fair play. At least we know that Bernie's going to be good for a scene that actually warrants that. Actually warrants that level of intensity and fear.
Yeah.
And they're ripping doors open, all that kind of thing. Bernie's the girl to go to. But there we go. That was the Week in Enders this week. I thought it was a good week. I enjoyed it. It was kind of a bit like that for the week. But the key character points I think hit the mark when they needed to. So we'll kind of see where it goes from here. But some interesting developments, I thought. So Ree, if you were to give a gold star to anybody in this week, who would receive Ree's gold star? Who was your favourite?
Bernadette. I'm joking. No. It would be Ravi, because like I previously mentioned, I can't believe that at the start of the week I was thinking he was a horrible creep, and at the end of the week I were on his side. I don't know how that happened. And okay, everyone, judge me if you think I shouldn't be on his side, which I know I shouldn't be, but I am. So clearly he's done something to win me round. So he's my star, and I think he's doing a really good job. Actually, I think he's very convincing in this role. So. Yeah, fair play to him.
I kind of quite like Ravi in this role. He was a bit, I think he was sort of a little bit unsure as to where Ravi was going. I'm really
Yeah,
convinced that
definitely.
something in that initial kind of plot with Ranveer and Kira, I think something
Kira,
happened behind
yeah.
the scenes where they had to rewrite it and stuff like that. So now we've got this plot, which is, that's fine. Stuff like that happens. I think Nugget was my star of the week. I really enjoyed Nugget this week. I like the development of Nugget, and it's interesting way. So Ravi and Nugget are the kind of
father and son.
Father and son, we like that. So, Ree, as we know, this is your kind of first week on the podcast, and this is your first week sort of reporting for Eastenders on the podcast. So, what you need to be doing, frankly, is paying really, really close attention to everything that happened during the week.
I know, you've told me this already. Yeah. I am trying to pay attention, you know.
Well, let's see how closely you were paying attention. I'm going to ask you a question, all right? And we'll see how well... this is your podcast training, okay? Ree's podcast training. So, the question... See how closely you were paying attention. What was Nugget's tipple of choice when he entered the party?
Easy. Rum.
Oh, she was paying attention.
I was paying attention. Thank you, Rob.
Rolled off your tongue then as well. Then it all
rum.
Yeah. Wrong. It was vodka. So, we'll see.
No, it weren't. It was rum. It was definitely rum. I remember that.
So there we go then. That was this week's Eastenders, and we shall close this delightful podcast off with some comments from our social pages. So we will finish the show with some comments from our Facebook page that you can find on Albert Square After Dark Podcast on Facebook. Come and have a look. It is a fabulous community full of a lot of lovely people, hundreds of people, all chatting about Eastenders. The first comment we're going to read is from Kev Randall, who says, the scene in the Vic with Ravi and Chelsea talking on Thursday. The song playing had the lyrics, bang, bang, you're dead. Is that a flash forward link, or is that me reading too much into it? Do you know what, Kev? That's a very, very good point, because they do that sometimes, don't they? Do you know what the song was?
It would Dirty Pretty Things, I think. I know which song, yeah. And it is literally, bang, bang, you're dead.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't a hint, actually. Very well spotted by Kev Randall there, because they do tend to do that, don't they? It's usually related to something background music.
And I mean, we've not really spoken to you about your theories about who might be on the. What do you think? Who at the moment is like? What do you think is going to happen?
About 2 weeks ago, number one prime suspect was Nish, of course, but now it's looking like Ravi, isn't it? But then I think it'd be such a waste if they got rid of Ravi actually at Christmas. Honestly, I think they're just going to chuck quite a few suspects at us who it could be.
I mean, I think we're supposed to, with it being so far away from Christmas at the minute, I think we're thinking exactly what we're supposed to be thinking at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, we have the new family coming in, so it could be.
Of course, yeah.
So it could be any of them. We could have Colin Salmon on the floor of the Vic on Christmas Day. You never know. But it's interesting. I think that's a very, very good point there, Kev. Well done. There's one more comment that you can read out now, Ree.
This one is from Stephen Cabo Brody. My main issue with Ben's boxing stuff is that it really seems to be portrayed as a negative thing. Sparring safely in his dad's gym should be a really good way for him to release a lot of pent-up tension, especially regarding how he's dealing with Lola. But it's being treated as a really bad, evil thing for him to do. The alternative for him doing the sport in this episode was for him to be just drinking by himself. Which I think is more healthy.
Yes. I mean, you said that basically, didn't you? Or did you Facebook and copied it and used it as your own.
I think I did actually see that.
That's exactly
what but I did. I was thinking it as well, but I think I did see that. Well, Stephen Brody, you make a very good point. Okay.
She used to do this all the time at uni. I know full well that most of Ree's essays were plagiarised off the internet, and sue me if it's untrue. I say.
Shut up, Rob. I've still got a degree. I don't want to lose it.
Can you lose your degree? Can you lose your degree a few years later?
Well, let's not find out. All right.
No, let's not find out. It was all. She should have got higher marks.
Oh, my own words. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, there we are then. So, thank you so much for joining us this week. This is the start of Albert Square After Dark. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we will be seeing you next week. If you would like to get in contact with us for next week's episode, Ree, how can they do that?
You can find us on our Facebook page, Albert Square After Dark. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Lastly, don't forget to email us at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Beautifully read. Beautiful. Can't you tell you did a job?
Thank you. It wasn't read. I memorised it. All up here.
No, absolutely. All up there. All up there. One episode in. There we are. Thank you once again for joining us. We'll be back same time next week. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.